Morning, everybody. I'm going to put this on gallery view so I can see a few of you. There's about 50 of us right now. In past meetings, I've forgotten to unmute myself or had something weird. So if you just raise your physical hand if you can hear me right now. Yay, good. All right, that's good to see. Okay, so as we begin, I wanted to just take a few minutes. I had the chat room right now, so it doesn't have everybody, you're not able to say anything in the chat room, but I'm going to open it up now so that we can take just a minute so you can say hello. We can't have everybody say hello at once, audio-wise, but just say hello in the chat room. Let me open that up. And there we go. And in the chat room, you can go and just say hello from New York, or hola from Mexico, or buongiorno from Italy, wherever you are. And we can just kind of enjoy looking at the gallery, if that's the kind of view you have now, or some of the names. But look in the chat room to see some of the names that are coming up. Somebody from Moscow, Philippines, very early there. Somebody from Tucson, Park City in Utah, Botswana, Missouri. Welcome everybody. Hola de Guatemala, Moscados. And just kind of soak it in, all that, how we're connecting all parts of the globe here. So I don't have really a lot to say today. And it's pretty clear to me that what this is about really, and maybe you think you came here for me, but I'll tell you why I came here. I came here for you, and I know for many of you that's the case as well, because this is really, in a way, more about you than it is about me. It's a way for you to make contact with some other people that have done the Palouse Mindfulness training or something like it, and also a way for me to make contact with you in this very special way. And you'll have a chance when we do the small groups to learn a little bit about some of the other people. You're almost certain to wind up in a small group with people who aren't from your region. And we'll have a couple of things to think about and talk about together. But one of them will be about practice. Now, what does it mean to practice? Everybody's practice is a little bit different. And we have a chance to learn from each other and find out a little bit about each other. And I was realizing that for me, the most magical thing about this is the fact that we can meet with each other in this way. There are thousands of places on the internet and YouTube and other places where you can find inspirational speakers about mindfulness and other things. But here we have a chance to actually touch base with other people. And we're going to set that up in a few minutes. And as I was thinking about this, I was looking at something that Parker Palmer had written. He's got a wonderful book. He's got a number of books. One of them is called A Hidden Wholeness. And his subtitle, it's a wonderful subtitle. It's The Journey Toward Non-Divided Life, but a subtitle, and this is what I love, it's just welcoming the soul and weaving community in a wounded world. And this is, of course, long before COVID and all the things we got going on in our world now. And he talks about the importance not just of getting to know yourself with meditation, or being in community and being in touch with others, but also but the fact that we need both. And I love what he says. Let's see if we can find that here. He says, we need solitude and community simultaneously. What we learn in one mode, solitude or community, can check and balance what we learn in the other. Together they make us whole, like breathing in and breathing out. Solitude doesn't necessarily mean living apart from others. Rather, it means neither living apart. It means never living apart from oneself. And community, which is really what we're about here today in many ways, means never losing the awareness that we're connected to each other. Because here we are in our individual places, in our own homes, or wherever you might be in all over the globe, yet we're here connected with each other. So even though we're separate, we're also together. So he says, community means never losing the awareness that we're connected to each other. It's about being fully open to the reality of relationship, whether or not we are alone. So I'll put this up in the notes so you can have that title. So you don't need to ask about that now necessarily. And in a few minutes, we're going to do a meditation together. And that'll sort of set up the inward part of us being together, checking in with ourselves and kind of seeing where we are before we go into small groups. All right, so we're going to begin with a meditation, and it'll be about a 10 maybe about a 10-minute meditation, and just enough to kind of check in with ourselves and settle in, and just sense what's here for you now. You can do this eyes open or eyes closed. And just taking a moment to sense in with your body. Noticing how you're sitting in your chair or couch or cushion, however you're sitting right now, or laying. Noticing how your legs or feet are making contact with the floor. How your arms are resting or your hands resting in your lap and your legs. Letting it be a two-way conversation. It's just not you just checking in and receiving sensation. In a way, it's also you reaching out to these parts of yourself, of your body you hadn't been paying attention to before. Kind of a gentle hand of awareness. Our feet, our legs, buttocks, arms, shoulders. And when you're ready, letting awareness go to sensations of breath, wherever that's most vivid for you. Could be your chest, or your throat, or your nostrils. Just sensing into actual sensations. Observing your own breath the same way you might observe waves at the seashore. If you're just sitting on a warm summer day and watching the waves come in, you're in no hurry for the waves to be faster or slower. You got no particular judgment about how they are, whether they're big or small. You're just watching each wave come in, and then breath comes in. And it goes back out, just like the waves at the seashore. It's natural that your attention will go somewhere else from time to time, a memory or a thought, a worry about something that's happened or something that's going to happen. We don't treat our thoughts harshly, but just notice that they're there and gently but firmly coming back to breath.
Don't hit that. Don't hit that. Because I don't see you.
Letting this breath be this breath. It's actually fine for other things to come in. That's part of being aware of what's going on. And knowing that you're actually larger than all of that, larger than your thoughts, larger than the feelings, even larger than your own breath. The breath is the home base, the place to come back to, a place just to stay in contact with sensations of breathing. For the next 5 minutes or so will be completely a silent meditation, no guidance from me. And just let that be whatever kind of meditation you'd like it to be, continuing with the breath or some other area of focus. And this will be your time for the next 5 minutes, and I'll mark the end of that 5 minutes with a bell. So now's the time that we can have some time just to talk together as a group, and any questions you have for me, or any comments you have about the experience, now would be the time to do that. And Lauren is going to be coordinating this. So if you have a question, I see a couple of hands up, Lauren. So Catherine and Sarah have her hand up. And so maybe you can select Catherine to have her spotlight her so she can
unmute her and spotlight her.
There you go.
Oh, hi. I didn't really, my hand was raised for the yes or the longer and no,
Oh, okay.
but now that I'm here, I thank you so much for doing this. And I do have a question. For me, it feels that when I wake up is when I'm more thinking. So I just wonder why that, actually this morning I woke up very early, and then I had a dream that I was in a group of people meditating, and I had to, and then I remembered to come to this. So, because it's earlier here, why it's 7 in the morning, but I'm just wondering, like that some days it's just so peaceful and meditation, it's just so easy to drop right into it. And then other times I guess it's just that's why it's just a practice. It's just
That's the practice, isn't it?
Yes, you think you think, oh wow, I'm so peaceful. It's great. I'm doing this, and then there you go again.
Yeah, and as long as you think that meditation is about being peaceful, then you'll be upset when it's not. So it's good.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's good to remember that it's really all of it. It's the peaceful parts, and it's the not so peaceful parts, and it's the boring parts, and it's the times when you're thinking like mad and you think you should be peaceful. It's all of those. And so if this practice is about anything, it's discovering that you have a way to be really bigger than that, bigger than the thoughts, bigger than the evaluations of it, bigger than the peace even. And you're just, what you've allowed is the space, kind of a window into yourself to see where things are for you right now. And ideally to be able to do that from a place that's not itself so caught up in it.
Right.
What I sometimes say to people is that this practice is not about learning to be peaceful all the time, because that's a very frustrating idea, because that's not possible to be peaceful all the time. But it is possible, at least some of the time, to be at peace with not feeling peaceful. That's the practice.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you.
And Sarah has a hand up.
Yep, Sarah's got her hand up. So it says Sarah's iPad. So I don't know which Sarah, but Sarah iPad.
Okay. Yeah. I like that. You can feel at peace even though you're not peaceful. And I read something that I found inspiring. This is not about mindfulness, and I'll shorten it if it's okay if I read it. We talked about racism last month, and I noticed that there are still racist incidences going on. And an 11-year-old boy wrote a poem called "My Skin's Not a Weapon." And I just wanted to read it, if that's okay.
Sure.
And what was really interesting is he was doing a project in school about a congressman whose last name was Cummings. And when this congressman was 11 years old, he went to a swimming pool, which was for whites only. It was segregated in Baltimore. And rocks were thrown at him. So anyway, so he was 11 years old when that happened. And the boy, whose name is Josiah Wheeler, is 11. So I just thought it was really interesting that he was thinking about this project. And so I just thought, because I write poetry, and I find that writing poetry is a way to express my emotions. And I just found him to be very articulate. And this is his poem. It's hard being on that black list. I know, struggling with the racist. Protest, it's going to get violent. I know we're all struggling. Look to me, color's all you see. George Floyd, his neck under your knee. Betty Jones killed on Christmas Eve. by the cops we all loved. Protest our rights are what we need. Tear gas in my eye, help me please. How'd this all lead in history? My skin's not a weapon. Think about having to tell your child, the person you want to have everything, that because of their skin tone, they might not be liked or get special opportunities, or to have to teach them to not let police think you're a threat, because God forbid that, some of us live that.
Hmm.
So I wanted to share that. Thank
That's
you.
beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Sarah, would it be all right for me to share that with in a recording?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. It's actually, it was in an article in the Baltimore Sun, and I can even email you the link if you'd
Okay,
like.
that'd be great. I'll put that along with it. And Catherine, your question was wonderful also. Can I share that with the group as part of the video? Okay, thank you. Because I know you now as Catherine's iPad. I don't have a last name, so I wouldn't be sure which one I'd be talking to. So Catherine, would you send me an email or give me your, send me an email, let me know that's okay. So I can have
I'll
your
do
last name.
that. I'll do that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So and there's
Sarit
Sarit
Sarit has a question or a comment, and I will spotlight.
Hi, Sarit.
Hi.
Now you're muted, Sarit, so you have to unmute yourself.
Okay, now it's okay.
Yes, we hear you.
Can you hear
Yes, we
me?
can hear you. Yes.
Okay, hi.
Hi.
Happy to be here today also, every time. It's interesting how a community evolves and how it becomes more like we're all together sharing this thing. I wanted to ask you about anxiety and mindfulness, because one of my clients, who's she's in her 20s, and she knows about emotions, of how you receive anger and sadness and confusion. She's very confused now, and she told me last week, oh, all this. I sent her the song, Romi's song, about human as a guest house. She told me, I don't want to have them in my guest house. How do I get them out of here? And I thought, it's so natural. And I thought, it's okay. If you don't, you don't. It's okay. But she said, but I'm so angry. How do I let this anger out? I don't want him to let him to come in.
Yeah,
And I thought, no, it's a good question to ask about anger, because it's a strong
it's a great
emotion.
question, and that is a pretty common reaction to that, the guest house. Some people get really upset about it because it's just, I don't want to welcome all those things in. It's the anger and everything else, and it's helpful sometimes to realize that the guest house is also about letting in that anger about the guest house. About letting it all in, not that you like it, not that you want it to happen, but that's what's there for it right now. And just recognizing what's there for you at the moment, and allowing yourself to feel what you're feeling at that moment.
Allowing the confusion, you mean?
Allowing the
anger.
confusion and even the anger that it's there, because that's there at the moment. And from a perspective of being bigger than all of it, because one of my teachers, Ann Weiser Cornell, says it's not that you are angry. You can think of it as there's a part of me that's angry. It's a part of me that's angry, a part of me that's upset, part of me that doesn't like the guest house. And from that perspective, you are all of a sudden bigger than what that is. And it doesn't mean that anger is wrong. It's definitely a part of you, but there's a place from which you can be with it that's not subsumed by it. But it's a very good point.
Yes. and it's relevant. It's so
Yeah.
much. There's so much anger everywhere, and
Yeah.
I thought, I wish I could hold it for you, but you have to do the process.
Yeah. And so that's the way that you could hold her is a way that she might learn to hold herself, is that she can hold the anger itself without making it go away. Because if you had a child who was really angry and upset, you wouldn't say, stop being angry and upset. You would hold it. You would just be with that child and listen to what's going on. And it's a gentle way to be, even with something that's as harsh as anger. And that's a practice. It's not.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it's good to see you. So we're right now at 1:30. That's the time that we had scheduled to end. And I wanted to allow people to say goodbye if they need to say goodbye.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll stay around for a little while for those who still have questions or comments that they want to make. But for the next few minutes, I will. I think I've got it set up so you can unmute yourself. So if you need to be leaving us now, this is the time when you can say goodbye, and you can just unmute yourself, say goodbye in whatever language that might be. And we'll just take about 2 or 3 minutes to do that. And for those of you who are leaving, thanks for coming. It's been wonderful being with you. And hopefully we'll see you next month.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Dave.
Everyone.
Good experience today. Goodbye.
Hello.
Bye.
See you all.
Bye.
Nice to meet you. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Toda raba.
Take care. Miropavshim.
I think bye-bye, maybe not.
All right, yeah. Well, actually, there may be a few people who want to stay and a few people who haven't finished saying goodbye yet. So if you need to be leaving now's the time. We'll see you next month. And if you'd like to stay for a little while, I'd love to stay and chat with you, and we can do that for a little while. That would be wonderful.
So Dave,
It's hard to,
Adriana Diane Rodriguez
Uh-huh.
question.
Yeah.
Do you want to take the question?
Sure.
Hi. Yeah. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Dan.
Good morning. So we've had the introduction for mindfulness practice with our college students during the first week of July, and we had a great response from the students. So what we found out is that a lot of them are actually having difficulties regulating their sleep. And when we introduced to them the body scan, well, a lot of them felt really sleepy, and they said that they are welcome to continue doing the body scan to help them sleep. So I was thinking, well, I told them that yes, it's fine if you want to use the body scan for you to be able to relax yourself, to pause and to relax the body, that's fine. But then I thought that is not the main purpose of body scan in the first place. So I was thinking, can you suggest a good meditation for sleeping? Because I tried to research on YouTube. There are so many meditations for sleeping. So if you can actually recommend one that we can probably also recommend for the students, or if you have your own script for that one that you can recommend.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And there are hundreds, thousands probably of meditations for sleep. And Diane, if I can ask you, this came up because your students discovered when they tried to do the body scan and they were falling asleep. Is that right?
Yes, they're feeling sleepy. Some of them mentioned that some of them actually dozed off for a while and then they woke up. And when we asked them, in what moments do you think you can practice the body scan, they mentioned that they are most likely to practice it at night before they go to bed, because it actually helps them to get into that mood of sleeping, because a lot of them are overly stimulated by going online and with online activities.
So for them, they have their sleeping meditation. That's the body scan.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's funny when I would run into people in town who've done the course, because I've taught 400 people here in town, and some of them tell me, they say, well, I have to tell you, I don't use your meditation so much for meditating. I use it as a sleeping pill. I listen to your voice and I fall asleep. And often, if that's happening with the body scan, often it means that that is what you need. You need the sleep, and there's nothing wrong with using it in that way, because you can use it in both ways. You can use it as because I use it myself. When I wake up early in the morning, when I'm worried about something or something is pressing on me, you know, those 3 a.m. Cycles you go through of what do I do and what's next and what did I do. Often I'll use the body scan as a way to just to disengage from all the repetitive thoughts. A little bit of it actually is helpful. You know, when you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're thinking about, I could do this, I could do that, this happened, but not 3 or 4 hours of it. You know, just a little bit of it is helpful. But then you need to kind of bring back, and a body scan can be helpful. You're just going through your body, noticing sensations of how you can feel your sensations of touch and warmth of being in the bed, and your feet and your legs and so on, and come to breath if you like. And if people want to use body scan that way, that's fine. If they want to be able to have an experience of being aware, then they'll do it at another time rather than late at night. But most often when that happens, when the time that they have is only that time when they're going to fall asleep anyway, they probably need the sleep more than they need the meditation.
Yeah.
Because most of us are sleep deprived in our cultures. We don't get enough sleep.
True. I practice the body scan still at night because it also helps me relieve body pain after working out. So instead of taking medication for the pain, I use the body scan. And I also sleep better when I do it.
Yeah.
So it's okay for them to continue using the body scan as something to help them sleep at night.
If that's what they need, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of, as if you think about the structure of your question, it's fascinating to say, well, I have a problem. I'm falling asleep during the body scan, but now can you give me a meditation I can go to sleep with? So it's not a problem, it's a solution. So I think that's fine to let them use it that way.
Okay. We introduced a 20-minute version of the body scan for them because it was shorter than the 30-something minutes that I used during the time.
And that's why it's there for people. 30 minutes, it just seems too long. Yeah. So any other? Thank you. It's good to see you, Diane. I'm glad your workshops are going well.
Yes. We're planning to have it again when the school starts by August for the college students again. And then later on, we're going to introduce it to the senior high school as well.
That's
so
great.
Hopefully we will get the same reception as we had before.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Diane, you're in the Philippines. Are they doing are you doing this via Zoom, or will you be doing it in person in the fall? How will that work?
We're doing it by Zoom at the moment because schools will be online.
Yeah.
Until next year, I guess. So we'll just be doing it by Zoom.
Yeah. Right. Well, great that you're doing that.
Thank you.
There's about 21 of us here now. Any other questions or comments?
There are no other hands up right now.
All right.
Okay.
And so we'll say goodbye here in a minute. If there's anything anybody wants to say,
Thank you, Dave. It's difficult to say goodbye. You know, it's very nice to see
I know.
together. You know, we could drink tea together.
Yeah, I know.
Dave, I had a thought. What would you think about as a big group? You know, maybe talking, I don't know how we would do this, but it would be interesting to hear about how other people do their mindfulness. Just a thought.
Yeah, it is interesting because we have our own idea about what we think other people are doing with meditation. Sometimes even when you're in the same room, you know, we go on Zen retreats, and you'd see people sitting perfect posture, perfectly serene look on their faces, not moving at all, and you think everybody is serene and peaceful except me, you know. And you don't see what's going on, and everybody has their own way of meditating. It looks like we're all meditating the same. We do it differently. Some of us have different kinds of practice. That would be an interesting thing to ask, and that's something that probably can come up in this small groups as well. So if anybody wanted to stay around for a few minutes and have that conversation here, we could do that.
Oh, that's nice.
All right, so we'll have that as an option. We'll have another round of goodbyes for people who need or want to leave now, and those who want to stay for that conversation about different ways of a meditation practice can stay. So if you wanted to take your leave now, you can do that. It's a bit ado to you now. We'll see you next month, I hope. And those of you who want to stay around for a little bit longer can do that. We won't stay here for an hour, but we'll be here for a little while. So it's just us chickens here. We got about 14 of us. So we can have that conversation now if you want, Sarah, about practice. What is practice for you? I mean, everybody has a different practice. Lauren just disappeared, but her practice is not sitting in meditation. We've been together, married for 40 some years, known each other for nearly 50 years now. It's actually been 50 years. And although I've been a meditator nearly my entire adult life, she's never meditated as a practice. But she goes for walks. We live in the country and beautiful trails, and she'll go out and her walk is her meditation. It doesn't look like a sitting meditation. And she actually took my class when we do a sitting meditation formally. And she says, no, I don't do a sitting meditation even now. She says, but what I have done, what's changed, and that there was a little bit of a shift for her. She said, it used to be when I go for my walks, I'd be listening to NPR on my earbuds all the way up and all the way down, or a book on tape or something like that. She says, now the first part of my walk, when I go up the hill, we're in a mountain here, when I go up the hill, I'll be listening to NPR or my book on tape. But on the way back, I take the earbuds out and I just walk. And then I hear the birds, I see the trees, I feel the ground beneath me. I can, and thoughts do come up as I do in meditation. And that's her meditation. So everybody's a little bit different. Mine is just very simple. 30 minutes in the morning, I sit. It's what in Zen is called Soto Zen sitting, just sitting. With no particular agenda. So anyone else, what's your mindfulness practice like? You don't have to raise your hand. You can just speak with this group as small as we are. Make sure you unmute yourself.
I can say my practice is a combination of I practice. I think in the last 27 years, I practice Tai Chi and Qigong every morning. And I feel that it's movement meditation, but standing still meditation. It's a combination of both. But it doesn't really matter the movement. It's more the zone. You're getting into the zone of being. Your body knows. It's like a way to be centered again every morning. So that's the meditation. And I add to that sometimes creative work. If I find my mind is very busy, I'm adding the sometimes I'm doing artwork with, if I'm in nature, I'm just doing things with whatever I find, and it helps because it's like a reflection when you see, you see what you think of or what you're going through with materials. Helps. So I told you about the workshop I gave of mandala painting.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing how, you're giving the same instructions and you have all sorts of results. It's amazing. So art, creativity works together with the practice for me.
Yeah. And in truth, nearly everything works together with the practice. There's a saying that Buddha was asked about what position to meditate in. He says, well, you can sit, or you can lay down, or you can stand, or you can move. Those are the four possibilities, which leaves nothing out. You know, so anything can be mindful. It's how you hold the experience, how
Yeah.
you are with the experience, not about position or about activity.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you. And art is a wonderful mindful practice. It can be, because you're engaged in a certain way, in a different way than you are when you're just out around and walking.
Yeah, it's a very strong experience.
Yeah. And others, how do you practice? What's practice for you?
I practice. Oh.
You
Sorry.
just start speaking. You'll come on. Hi,
I'm
Marcy.
sorry. I practiced all different types of meditation. Lately, I'm really doing the more wheel of awareness.
Mhm.
Dan Siegel's meditation, which basically first starts with the five senses, then you go introspection, then you're looking at your thoughts, and then you're moving into awareness. But I've done all different types and styles, from, being in the breath to just noting, like Shi Chinmoy's methods, and all the different combinations of getting an overall awareness of in and out. I've done Tai Chi and Qigong and meditative movement. I do mindful yoga. So I think all those things have components. And I actually think the core, the Feldenkrais technique, I find very meditative. And I think my meditation practice has allowed me to experience that technique in depth. I think without having that awareness, I won't. I've done chanting. I've been studying meditation for a while.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah. And anyone else want to share what their practice is? Yeah, Chip.
Hello.
Yeah.
How are you, my friend?
I'm good, thanks.
Well, my practice is I think it sounds like it's a bit more formal, but the lineages that I come from are from my training going back 50 years was yoga and Chan Buddhism, which really opened me up to a wide variety of Zen practice. And I practice two lineages simultaneously now. One is the Zen practice in the lineage of Thich Nhat Hanh, the Plum Village lineage, and in the Dzogchen practice, the practice of in the Mahamudra pathway, the Tibetan practices. And this year, I'm involved with our teacher in a year-long study and practice within the path of the Bodhisattva, the Shantideva practice, Bodhicharya Vihaya. And it's been quite something, because the discipline of it, and an hour of practice in the morning, an hour of practice in the evening, and formal practice and informal practice all day long. It really is very interesting, because it's boiled down to where I started as a kid. It's boiled down to just do this, just sit and watch the mind. It's that simple.
Yeah.
And so with all the practices and the disciplines, it's really boiled down to mindfulness on my feet, moving through the world on a daily basis. And then when in sitting practice, it's just this. It's just really watching the mind with his open, what's known as open, big sky mind, open sky awareness, and grasping nothing. Just simply watching it come and go. Sounds easy. Give it a try. Give it a try. When we were talking about, I think I put something in the chat room, we were talking about these things that arise, and you treat them as guests. Suzuki Roshi said, be a good host, leave the front door and the back door open, and don't serve them tea. And it's like that. the at least as practiced by those who are certainly more enlightened than I am, the gentle practice of not grasping and watching things come and go will certainly, in my case, make one very good at recognizing grasping. Maybe not quite as skilled as letting go of grasping,
Yeah.
but certainly recognizing it, like, oh, there that is again. So that's what I'm up to. And as you know, Dave, teaching mindfulness may would be the most selfish thing I do, because it's really something, whoever was mentioning it before, regardless of what it is, every time you lay it out there and teach others, if your mind is open, what an experience. It's just really something, isn't it? What a teacher. What a teacher.
There's no limit to the question, to the lessons that we get.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In our chat room, we were talking about humility. If you want humility, teach something, anything, anything.
Yeah, its own challenges. Thank you, Chip. It's ironic that of all
Thank you.
things, that not grasping would be the hardest. You think that would be the easiest, to let go, but letting go is the hardest.
Yeah.
Especially if you have as your goal to let go. I think that's because then when you notice you're not letting go, you're mad at yourself for not letting go, and that's really not letting go. And so sometimes you have to be kind to yourself and gentle with yourself when you're holding on to something, because often that means something.
It's really something. Whatever it is, let go. Whatever it is. And it's so hard to let go of the stuff we practice so hard that we think is good. You have to let go of that too.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So Sarah, is this what you had in mind?
This is great. Thank you. And it's reassuring that it can be anything. It's not just sitting down, because I've been using Insight Timer. And if I miss one day, then I have to start from scratch.
Oh.
And because I also do Qigong. I do Tai Chi Cha. I have a DVD. And I also I Zoom on chair yoga. And I was attending a class of mindfulness for dealing with anxiety. So, so I've done a lot of different things. Yeah, it's Mark Kennedy, LCSW.
Sarah, I accidentally turned you off. Sorry.
Oh, okay. That's all right.
So you have to turn your video back on.
Okay. Okay. There we go.
There you are.
Yeah, I think it's Mark Kennedy, LCSW, and he does the mindfulness for anxiety. But I'm finding out my thinking, like we talked about letting go, and I'm starting to recognize when I'm in all or nothing thinking. So even with letting go, I see it as a continuum. Like I notice that when I get tense, my hands get tense. And so I'm noticing I can relax my hands a little bit. It's instead of making a fist, I can open up my hand a little bit. Or if I'm tensing my hands, stretching them out, I could just relax them. I liked what you said about compassion.
And I've come to the point of view about meditating that the most important part of it, the most important, is compassion for yourself. Is when you go off track, or when you find yourself being self-critical about something, or even worse, self-critical about being self-critical. I shouldn't be like that. Is to find a way to hold that holds it gently. That you can be kind to yourself about that, because anything you're experiencing is a human experience. You're allowed to have that experience, and it's possible to hold that in a certain way. It's like that idea of being at peace with not feeling peaceful. So discovering a way to be with that, and to do that in a gentle way, not in a harsh way. Sometimes when people first learn meditation, they think it's about staying focused in one place and never moving from that place, whether it's breath or a mantra or a centering prayer or whatever that is. And when they go off, they beat themselves up, say, and they might actually get very good at having concentrated practice. And there are states that one can achieve by having that one-pointed mind on something, by holding yourself there, even amazing, blissful states. But if that's the goal, then whenever you're not there, which for most of us is most of the time, then it feels like a wrong state. I shouldn't be there. I should be in this other state. And I believe the practice is about being gentle with all of it, like the Rumi's guest house, where everything comes in, and as Chip says, you leave the front door and the back door open. So it comes in, it can go out again. But you're the space in which that can happen. Yeah.
Thank you. That's great.
Yeah, before we say goodbye, we probably should end pretty soon. But anything else anybody would like to share or ask before we go?
I was thinking about my own meditation and how it's been mainly self-flagellation. That's been what I've been really practicing and getting really good at for about 5 years, till I somehow started to introduce more and more self-compassion. Yeah, my formal meditation was basically telling myself, you suck at this, but because this is good, you need to keep doing it. And I'm a really disciplined person, so I've managed to keep at it, getting even better at self-flagellation. So yeah, I guess that self-compassion made a difference. I mean, I don't really know if I'm getting any better at meditating, but at least it's not self-frustrating. So I'd say it's an improvement.
Well, I'll tell you, just because of the way you're talking about it, there's a gentleness about it. You wouldn't be able to talk about it this way with humor if there wasn't already a way you're holding it that isn't beating yourself up. You hear what I'm saying? And it's kind of paradoxical that well, it can be confusing that when you get more and more one-pointed in your mind, there can be these amazing, wonderful, blissful states. But the real practice is to discover a way to hold all of it and to be gentle with yourself around it. And so you can congratulations on being a good self-flagellator. But even a greater congratulations on having the perspective to be able to say that, because you're saying it with humor. You're holding it in a different way than you would if you're really harsh with yourself. That there's a way in which you are already being gentle with yourself, so you can congratulate yourself for that. I love what you said.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Anything else before we go? All right, well, let's say goodbye.
Thanks, Dave. That was great.
Thanks
very much.
Do this again next month. And so we can now just say goodbye.